Okay, countdown timer doesn't work. Doesn't matter. We're ready to go. Okay. So, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So happy to see you again. For those who are not for the first time on our stream today, and welcome to those who are first time joining our stream around conversational AI area. We are the team of conversational AI and conversation design experts here and Master of Code here in North America. At Master of Code, we help organizations design, build, and launch amazing conversational chat and voice experiences. My name is Andrey Burlutskiy. I'm head of marketing here at Master of Codes, and I will be your host for today. So, what are our streams are about? Every week on our LinkedIn page, we share with you short analytical insights on CXO top of mind in their particular industries. And every week we launch a poll to ask you to vote for the most crucial top of mind challenges in your industry. And every Monday, like today, we go live with Master of Code experts to discuss how to tackle those top of mind challenges with conversational AI. Welcome anytime to ask any questions, share your thoughts down under the streams in the comments. And today we explore a future of work, conversational digital workplace areas. And I'm happy to introduce our experts for today, Cassidy, the Chief Technology Officer here at Master of Code. Hello, Kelly.
Hello, hello. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. And Amanda Stevens, Director of Conversation Design here at Master of Code. Hello, Amanda, and welcome to our stream.
Hi, thanks so much for having me again.
Good you join us today as well. Okay, so before we start, actually, to start, I would like to show you what we have discussed last week on our LinkedIn page in regards to the modern digital workplace and future of work and conversational AI. But before, I would like to show you on the screen the Hypercycle, which is introduced for every emerging technology by Gartner. And there is a specific slide around Hypercycle for digital workplace, which was produced back in June 2020, showing the key emerging technologies that will impact how digital workplace and the future of work will evolve. So on the screen, you see a number of such technologies, and each of them is going through its key milestone. There are several of them, and in order to show you how it, let's say, how it works, how it's connected to our story today, I would like to show you 4 key technologies that will impact the future of work and digital workplace in the next 2 to 3, maximum 5 years. So to see you closer, this is what we see. There are 4 key, I would say, not emerging already, 4 technologies that we observe right now and brought to the discussion today. It's RPA, a robotic process automation, it's virtual assistants, it's chatbots, and it's desktop as a service. And actually, if you look from down to top, from desktop as a service to chatbot to the virtual assistants and RPA, this is what we see them right now. Like we are during the lockdowns and remote work, really use our desktop as a service to do our everyday job. Doesn't matter how we use it. We can do events, we can work with the documents using G Suite or Microsoft Office 365. We even can use systems like CRM, etc. Just connecting to our desktop, doesn't matter where we are, anytime, any device, any place. And the next one, chatbot and virtual assistants, is kind of evolvement of desktop as a service. It's how we can use artificial intelligence and technologies around it in order to make our work more productive and decrease the amount of, let's say, failures, so make our processes efficient. This is what we're going to talk about today. And let me show you what we asked during our poll. So what kind of results have we got? So we asked about our subscribers on the LinkedIn page, what are their top of mind out of key 4 that we have selected. So the first one was knowledge management. And for the future of work and digital workplace, actually knowledge management got most of the votes, 60%. The next one is reduced frictions. It's pretty popular topic in the enterprise, and we're going to talk about it today as well. So reduced frictions got 20% of voters. The next one, and actually I wanted to see this item maybe first or at least second, but it's sharing with the reduced friction the second place. It's advanced workflow automation. And the last but not least, we'll see if we're going to touch this at the end of our conversation, is intuitive UX. And somehow I would like today to connect also the discussion around the ethical AI connected to the conversation design. So we'll see what we will get. So Kelly, Amanda, looking at those results, can you give your short reflection, what you see, what you don't see, your perception, and what does it mean? What kind of patterns do you see, considering votes that we have got? So
Sure.
Kelly, probably, yeah, Amanda, I give a stage to you, please. Welcome.
Either or. I'm not surprised knowledge management was the top results. So many great use cases come from that. The one kind of particular scenario that I think of that is an excellent use of leveraging conversational AI to really help with knowledge management is if you have an organization and you have offices all over the globe, and information, although ideally would be centralized, it often doesn't happen. You have different offices and different employees saving files in different places, and maybe an office in Europe is about to pitch a retail client, for example, for their business. And wouldn't it be great if they could just check, hey, maybe our North America offices have a case study about a similar industry, or maybe our offices in APAC have done something similar in the retail sector. So how great would it be to ask a bot that says, hey, what case studies do we have for retail clients? Or do we have any existing clients that have worked with other offices? Or can I reach out to a particular person in another office who might be a knowledge expert of this industry that I'm about to pitch to? That's really, really great, where a chatbot can pull all the documents, all the relative documents, pull up individuals for that person to contact, or a case study for them to share, and they get information so much faster. I can't think of how many times I've just, even in our organization and many, even if you don't have offices all over the place, it takes a long time to look for information. There's just folders upon folders, they're saved in the cloud somewhere, and a chatbot can speed all of that up because you ask for the information and it points you in the right direction instantly. You don't have to worry about searching through files or folders and subfolders to find what you're looking for. It saves an incredible amount of time.
Cool examples. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, I also faced with the I would even not call it challenge, with the issue to find the relevant information. Moreover, I would love to use the conversational AI in order this technology will help me not only to find information, but also to help me to identify also the best steps for accurate and faster results, for example. I know that Microsoft, inside its Office 365 and Microsoft 365 pack, they're using a so-called Microsoft Graph that helps to build, interconnection between different pieces of, different applications that work with information. For example, social network, For example, communication application, Microsoft Teams, even OneDrive, where you store documents, Excel, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. And having all of that with Microsoft Graph, you easily can interconnect between each other all the senses, all the information, and chatbot can help you to find it. Kelly, what's your reflection on the results?
This It doesn't surprise me, as Amanda said, that knowledge management is number one. To me, that makes the perfect sense, especially given this last year, where you don't have the luxury of just going down the hall to ask someone for a question, especially if you're looking at HR challenges. You want to know where things are, you want to know information. A lot of different departments will have similar needs depending on how their business operations work. So having a centralized knowledge management solution that could also be intuitive using AI would be a fantastic boon to a lot of these organizations. This could be a proactive communication, either internally or even externally, of information that gets released in terms of here's our quarterly results, and push that information up for those who are interested. And those who aren't, they don't get a proactive notification, but it's still there if they go searching for that information. So it also covers the centralization of data. Reduced frictions, I'm actually surprised it's only 20%. I would have expected a little bit higher, simply because that eases the ability for organizations to work in this last year. Especially, they're looking to scale. Some businesses need to grow. That's not easy to do when you can't have people face to face. You mentioned a moment ago desktop as a service there, Andrey. So the two different modes of that are using our existing machine in a browser environment, using tools like G Suite, Office 365 for that kind of activity. But you also have businesses, part of ours as well, which are development shops. You need different tools. Yeah. That's where things like Amazon Workplace, where you can have an entire virtualized desktop and control the rollout and the licensing and the solution, what that looks like, provides a lot of advantage as well. So taking both of those, that reduces a friction of onboarding, but it also removes a certain level of security because the organization owns that landscape where everything is operating. So there's a lot more ease of sharing and ease of visibility and transparency to what's going on in those cases. So I think that's one, like I said, that one I would have expected maybe not a lot more than 20%, but just a little bit more than the 20% there, above the advanced automation. Because if the communication is there, you let the chatbot, like Amanda mentioned, do some of those documentation pieces, some of the more repetitive activities, get the chatbot to take on some of those. You might still need a human for the advanced thing, but down the road, that's going to change. We're going to grow into taking advantage of all of those over time, and it's just a matter of time to implement to get those things going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your example about the HR and the onboarding and the, for example, Amazon, Facebook Workplace as well. Now, I think those processes actually can use the conversational AI for first of all for core workflows automation, and then as a consequence, as a result, to reduce the friction. I have seen as an examples in different CRM systems, and this is like standalone systems that are using conversational AI in order to analyze the set of data inside the CRM system, and then to make a proactive proposal through the virtual assistant to the salespeople or to the marketing people, mostly for the sales right now. What should be, first of all, the next step with the customer? What is the best way to start a dialogue with the customer or topic to talk about? Because conversational AI in this space is not only analyzing the data in CRM, which was put by salespeople, but also outside resources, for example, connected LinkedIn account or Facebook or Instagram, to give more constant context of conversation between the salesperson and with the customer. So with that said, Kelly, how easy is it to go to the advanced workflow automation? I will touch this point right now. If if company has a lot of systems that they're using for business management. For example, it can be sales that are using a CRM system. They also are using chat systems and working with the documents. So how to start, or what are the simple use cases that can be automated, in this case for HR people, for sales people, and maybe for marketing? What kind of examples or insights can you give?
So I'm glad you clarified that a little bit, because you saying how easy is it to do
No,
is
not how easy.
and is based on the data you have at hand too, and the number of systems you're connecting with. The use cases, like I said, HR, there's a lot of question and answer of just what is the vacation policy, when are the holidays. There's a lot of these repetitive activities that, as leaders in any organization, even if you're not in HR, you get asked those questions. Even team leads get that. But there's a much simpler way that could be automated and centralized. So if there is a data change, there's no worry about someone didn't read that email or get the update, or they've been away for a week, so they're waiting to play catch up. The information is available immediately. On a sales side, it's actually quite valuable to have some of those advanced automations, because the sales team may work in a CRM tool, but then execution and other teams may use different tooling. So putting an automation workflow to push information from one system to another should provide an ease of communication, especially and if it's different tools, but also if you're in different regions. If you are talking about a distributed workforce, it's going to give you a lot of advantage of ease of communication. And then all it's going to boil down to is discipline to update that system effectively to trigger that level of communication and other activities that need to occur. The discipline will be the hardest part, because that's something we as people need to make sure we have ourselves. The automation could be defined. And if it's through a chatbot, that's where Amanda and her team come in to make it as seamless as possible, to understand what's going on and understand what the actual intent of the question is, to execute against a lot of those.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to call out a use case that lends itself really well. We've probably seen and also have mentioned, how many vacation days do I have? Like you had mentioned, HR, connecting with HR systems or asking for vacation, or what are some policies. But training is such a good use case for this as well. Some companies have LMS, learning management software and systems that their employees go through. But let's imagine if you made that so much more conversational, or if you maybe work for a company that you need to have compliance and certain courses or trainings you need to take throughout the year. How great would it be for a bot to proactively let you know a training's coming up? I know it's probably more common to get an email to you, but again, just to make it a little bit more conversational, a little bit more personalized, also to remind you trainings are due. We all get so many emails already today. So just to kind of put that use case in a conversational system would be, I think, so much just more beneficial and more enjoyable, right? Because training, if you have to do so many trainings throughout the year, they can become tedious, but we can make it such a more positive experience, of course, with good conversation design and creating those proactive and personalized experiences for users.
Amanda, good you've mentioned the conversation design for learning. What are the sensitive themes that conversation design can consider while used for automation through the conversational AI, a learning process, a distance learning process?
So are you saying, just to clarify, are you asking what pieces of conversation design should be
maybe some, yes, pieces that, that needs to be considered, that are very important when you build up a learning process through conversational AI. So what conversation design is giving here as a unique thing?
Sure. For any person who's learning anything new, there needs to be a lot of hand-holding from the conversational assistant or the digital assistant. They're entering something fresh. They don't have full knowledge. We have to teach them. So we have to make sure that we take, best practices of what a human teacher would have and make sure that's applied in the design. So lots of hand-holding, ability to kind of go over topics again very easily. Also to, with any training program, there should always be, at least after consumption, a place for the user to practice what they've learned. So if we can incorporate that in a chat or voice experience, that would be awesome, or at least point them to an area where they can actually, after consuming so much information, they can, put it to practice through an exercise activity or particular assignment. But yeah, I definitely want to highlight a lot of hand-holding. It has to really be an assistant that's holding their hand, helping them throughout the way, giving them good feedback, and allowing them to, escalate very easily if they need additional help.
Yeah, that's cool. You started with the talking about conversation design. I wanted to touch slightly the last point, the intuitive UX. So you've mentioned several things already, what conversation design can do in this case. But when I was preparing for our live stream today, I was thinking about one more thing, and I somehow connected the ethical part of AI to the intuitive UX. I wanted to ask you, like, how conversation design or how with conversation design chatbots or really virtual assistants can demonstrate, can reflect and carry the company's culture, how it works in general. It's just only about persona and tone of voice or something more?
No, it's so much more. And this is, in the conversation design community, we're spending a lot of time talking about ethical conversation design as well as accessible conversation design. And companies really need to start taking notice and investing in this, because if you've invested in a solution that you want your employees or users or customers to engage with, you need to make sure you're thinking about accessibility, and that it's ethical as well. This is so important. In terms of accessibility, we really need to start, if we have a chat experience, let's also make sure we have a voice experience for those who won't be able to, if they have vision, if they're vision impaired, let's allow them to engage with a voice assistant as well. Let's not give them any opportunity to engage with an experience that has been created. So making sure there's multimodal experiences is definitely one of them. And also from a diverse standpoint, I think you're going back a slide. Okay, good. From a diversity standpoint, I think it's important to kind of promote genderless bots as well, instead of having a female persona versus a male persona. There's nothing wrong with having a genderless persona that can still serve up a really great experience. Additionally, you talk about kind of digital natives, right? Users that are really used to using assistants, but there's a lot of users who might not be so, they can't use an assistant so easily. So it would be, in conversation design, we would have two streams for that, kind of the digital native flows, and then they call them, digital immigrants, but whatever you want to call that, people who are not as comfortable using such technology. And with those who are not as comfortable, the tone and the voice and the content and the dialogue should repeat context. And that way they kind of know exactly what's going on every step of the way. Where digital natives, the bot doesn't have to repeat context. It can kind of speak, just like humans speak. We don't repeat what we're saying every dialogue bit. We understand each other's context and we continue moving forward. But with someone who's not as comfortable, it's more important that the bot, repeat itself, kind of to confirm what it's talking about every step of the way. So it's just a little bit more hand-holding, and you can kind of trigger each flow. If someone, if someone says, I need help, I don't understand, then that's when the bot can trigger that more hand-holding experience.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Kelly, the media professional communities are so much talking right now about not yet the breakthrough, but a huge movement towards using voice in conversational AI space. In Master of Code, we have in our R&D a lot of focus on the developing modules that can be integrated into the applications, into the websites, so you can manage it with the voice. But how you estimate the reality to use really and adopt the voice experience to, for example, manage the knowledge or even manage workflows that has been automated with conversational AI?
I think that's going to be done almost on an industry by industry basis in order to understand how voice can get easily adapted. If you're talking knowledge management, then you need to determine if the resulting document that the information is being relayed can be relayed through voice. If you're searching for a specific Word document or a PDF file, you don't necessarily want a voice assistant to read that entire document to you, especially if it's a 40-page document. But if it's a simple question in HR space, how many vacation days do I have left? That makes sense. It's a simple numerical value. There's context. It's quick. That can be returned. Now, if you do need it in a document management space, perhaps there's an executive summary that's 2 to 3 sentences or bullets. That makes sense for a voice assistant. And perhaps then to reach out and say, would you like me to email a copy of this document to you? And then that becomes up to the user to consume the document at their leisure, but they found the information without having to go hunting themselves. So you have an efficiency of time there. Other businesses will take voice and will adapt it in different ways. If you're talking workflow automation, that is really going to be industry dependent. I think we've spoken before, to my mind, if you're in the medical space, especially, given this last year, no one's going to want to easily share an iPad or a tablet to share patient information from nurse to nurse or practitioner to practitioner. But a voice system could be incorporated to really convey the information and the high level. What's the current status of this patient or this patient or this patient? It's going to give them an ease of communication, optimize the workflow and communication effectively, significantly across the board.
Thanks, Kelly. Amanda, and in the conversation design community, there is the same level of discussion about ethics in voice AI and conversational AI, the same as regular conversational chat experience.
Yeah.
I mean, discussion is the same hard as for the chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both. If you're asking me if we need to be ethical on the chat side and diverse and have that diversity and build for the diversity on the voice side as well as the chat side, absolutely. Any kind of conversational experience needs to, again, look at, is this covering a wide array of diverse users? Is this accessible to a multitude of, different users? Is the experience kind of geared to more a particular gender than another, or can we make it, gender neutral? What tone of voice are we echoing to make people feel included in the experience? That is across all conversational AI experiences. We really need to put a lot of effort in it. And again, I think the community has been talking about it, and companies, it's increasingly important for companies. If you're going to invest in this solution, you have to make sure it's ticking all the boxes and it's inclusive for everyone.
Great summary. Thank you, Amanda. So I would like to give a short summary. So dear viewers, dear subscribers, so the Gartner says that technologies like robotic process automation, virtual assistant, chatbot, desktop as a service are already here and coming to the so-called plateau of productivity. Yeah, right now they are not there yet. When technology becomes widely adopted, used, etc., but we are here, and it is maybe too early to use AI and conversational AI everywhere, but too late not to try it at all. So try it, think about it, reach out to us if you have any questions. Dear Amanda, dear Kelly, thank you so much for your thoughts, for your experience and sharing. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and thank you very much, every one of those who've been watching us. See you and hear you next week. Have a great rest of the week and take care.
Thanks so much.